You mentioned sacrifices. Like I was curious to know your thoughts, but Ronnie had some significant health issues, and as you reflect back, and he's, I guess in some ways he's one of the lucky ones because he's actually still alive. There's many that have through bodybuilding and trying to achieve something are not still around just purely because of that. But do you think, how do you reflect on some of the sacrifices that people made to be in that position?
We're not all cut from the same cloth. I mean, look, if you're racing a car and you're a professional car racer, what are the odds that you might get killed in a car wreck? I mean, they're exponentially higher. If you're a professional boxer, what's the odds that you might get brain damage or become punch drunk later on in life? Bodybuilding comes with the caution, and there's a lot of different variables. We have these compulsions and addictions, and what's good for me might kill you. Ronnie started out as a football player and a power lifter, and he's in a wheelchair. He's still in the gym every freaking day. I can't believe it. But, I'm in a swimming pool. I walk on the treadmill. I ride my bike. I've adjusted to life after, where I'm not so in my head about how I look. I'm more concerned about how I feel. And that's a maturing process that's hard to tell a soldier sometimes. Like, hey, calm down, relax. You go play golf. But when you do so much damage to your body and you don't have the moral compass or the friends around you to say, hey, pump your brakes, let's try to find a different activity, shoot some pool, go, play some basketball or whatnot. Depends on your level of involvement. For Ronnie, it wouldn't be surprised if he died in the gym. And would we feel sorry for somebody that's their passion? I mean, we don't have the same kind of reservations when we see a race car driver or a boxer, but they die all the time. And so bodybuilders that die doing what they love doing, for me, I'm a little jaded. I don't have the same sorrow or sense of loss when this is what they chose to do. No one's holding a gun to your head to be a professional bodybuilder. And if you die while you're doing it, it's no different than if you died being a race car driver. It's tragic that it's never the right time to die, even at old age. My dad died at 82 years old, and I was broken, right? I was broken for me, but he probably should have passed away 2 years before, because, that dementia is nothing to play with, right? It's like, you don't want to see Muhammad Ali shaking, right? We want to remember him floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee. Ronnie Coleman, when he was at his prime, you watch the videos on YouTube, he's doing the squats and the deadlift. We live for that. And we probably never will see it again. But at some point, with kids and grandkids and life after, you got to pump the brakes. And if he's not willing to pump the brakes and something happens tragically, I mean, look, man, we all have choices to make. I don't feel sorry for Ronnie Coleman. He doesn't feel sorry for himself. He'd do it all over again because it's afforded him the lifestyle he's got. When Muhammad Ali was shaking in his boots, he was still out there inspiring and representing the world of boxing and everything else that he brought to the table, whereas more other people of a lesser caliber might have just become a hermit. Ali was front and center to show you, like, hey, I'm here, I'm still doing the business. So I don't have the same, I don't want to say negative feeling or remorse, but when a bodybuilder dies, as tragic as it is, I know that could have been me. And we all have to have a moral compass of where we are in this world, what our responsibilities are to ourselves, what we're doing. If a little bit is good, a lot is not necessarily better. And injuries happen. The injuries that Ronnie Coleman has suffered, multiple injuries led to multiple surgeries. But you know what? Maybe without the working out, he doesn't have the mental therapy. Maybe the gym is where his church is. He needs to do this because that's who he is. So there's another side to that story. When I see Ronnie, he's got the biggest lines. He's got the most fans, and he's the loudest. He's sweating. And he's just loving the attention and the adulation because he knows what he did on his own back when no one was watching. This is the reward. And these fans are paying it forward because they're affording him a lifestyle that otherwise he wouldn't have. So it's hard to feel sorry for Ronnie Coleman, knowing what he's gone through and also knowing what he's accomplished.
When it comes to mentors, I guess there's different ways that you could look at it, because a lot of these people historically were young when they got into it. You in particular, Chad Nichols. What's your thoughts on that? I know there's a bit of a feud around that. How do you sort of see people in that position, and what can we learn?
I think in every sport you're going to have a guy that's kind of creepy, that's going to have a different motive, And then you're going to have the other people that say, hey, I need him. He was great for me. I mean, Linda Murray, that was her coach, right? Ronnie Coleman. Without Chad Nichols, there's no Ronnie Coleman. I wasn't in that camp, and I didn't subscribe to the camp of having a guru. I had a guy that I worked out with. He wasn't even my trainer. John Brown wasn't my trainer, and he wasn't my coach. He was my workout partner. So I come from a different mindset. My workout partner beat the shit out of me in the gym. I'm not sure Chad Nichols ever lifted weights with Ronnie Coleman or Linda Murray or anybody else that he's coached besides maybe his wife. But I think in every sport, there's a Chad Nichols lurking around doing God only knows what. I got no respect for the guy.
What was the sort of, what do you think, well, no, what do you, I don't mean what do you think, but what for you was the sensitive part of, in terms of your relationship with
Well, I mean, listen, we don't have a whole lot of barriers that insulate other outsiders from dealing with our athletes. It's an independent contracting sport. So if I want to bring someone into my camp, there's no checks and balance. In the NFL, I can't go down on the field and stand with my friend who's playing for the Detroit Lions. I can't get down there. He's untouchable. There's some things that they cannot take. You don't see these football players, for example, holding up protein shakes from all these protein companies. I think our sport is kind of like the Wild Wild West. You can bring into it anybody you want. Do you remember the guy from Balco Labs? I can't remember his name, but the dude from Balco Labs, it's a big deal in track and field. But he was dabbling in bodybuilding a little bit with some of the guys, chemically mixing up his concoctions. We have people on the fringe of our sport offering up concoctions to our athletes because it is a federation, but there's really no guidelines to stop anyone from giving an athlete a product. So anybody can come in, say, here, take this, it's going to take you to the next level. There's no one to stop you. So there's going to be guys that are going to capitalize on it. It's free enterprise. If you can make some money on something, you can drink a potion or take a concoction, and you're willing to take it. If you have success, everyone's going to want to follow you. And if I'm the one giving it to you, everybody wants to come back to me. So that's the nature of our industry. I can't stop it. I tried. I tried to make sure we had some guardrails. But unfortunately, it's the Wild Wild West, our industry. Anybody can be affiliated with anybody. Do
you think, when it comes to that, do you think that it's, I guess, how do you look at it if you're in that position? Is it a case of, right, we've come up with some formulation that we know is going to work, but we're also consciously aware that could be some risks? Or is it a case of, look, we come up with something that we think can work, and probably we don't have the understanding to appreciate those risks, but we know it's going to work? Where do you think people sit when they're making these recommendations?
Well, there's no guardrails. Again, there's no checks and balance. So you can pretty much take what you want and do what you want, work with whom you want to. And if I come up with a formula that you think is beneficial to your health and we have some level of success, then let's bottle it and sell it. Let's offer it to the next guy and the next guy and the next guy. But what's good for you could kill him. So as a bodybuilder, same way as a race car driver, I need to know everything that's going into this machine. I need to understand it, how it works, how it functions, what it's going to do, what its purpose is. Most bodybuilders, and I'm saying most, that's more than average, will take whatever you give them. It's trial and error. And it's coming from people that are not doctors. It's coming from people that are not certified, board FDA approved type things. So you can experiment with whatever you want to in the sport of bodybuilding, but you are responsible for it. And there's yet to be one person held accountable for another bodybuilder's death short of a murder. And we've had murders in bodybuilding. Lots of people have died in bodybuilding because they were murdered, but we've never had anybody held responsible for the death of another athlete as a coach, as a guru, advisor, or whatever.